Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the official launch of Carleton's new Strategic Integrated Plan. I'm Lorraine Dyke, Deputy Provost, Academic Operations and Planning, and I had the privilege of serving as one of the co-chairs of the Strategic Integrated Plan Task Force this year. And I'm pleased also to serve as your MC for today's event. Before we go further, I would like to share with you that Carleton University acknowledges and respects the Algonquin Anishinaabe people on whose unceded, unsurrendered territory the Carleton University campus is located. I also want to acknowledge that today, September 30th, is Orange Shirt Day in Canada. This national movement honors residential school survivors and their descendants. It reminds us once again of the need to ensure Indigenous people and Indigenous ways of knowing are represented in our educational aspirations. It reminds us that before reconciliation must come truth. I encourage you all to take some time today to reflect on the significance of what this day represents. Today is truly a momentous day for Carleton. Over the last year, we held a broad and consultative process to develop our new Strategic Integrated Plan. Throughout the process, we have been amazed and inspired by the engagement of the Carleton community. We see that again today with more than 600 people attending today's event. Today is the day that we put our strategic plan into action. From this point forward, it will serve as our collective vision for the future, and it is up to all of us to bring it to life. We have an exciting event planned for today. We'll hear from several speakers from across the university, which is a demonstration of how connected and collaborative our community really is. Today's event has intentionally been planned during Throwback, a time when Carleton celebrates its connection to the community and honors our shared history and values. In order to make sure that everyone can hear our speakers today, I would ask that you please keep your microphone muted and your camera off during the event. Please note that today's event is being recorded and will be posted on the Carleton website soon. Near the end of the event, we will have time for President Benoit-Antoine Bacon to answer your questions. Thank you to everyone who submitted questions earlier this week. We'll try to answer as many as we can. If you have a question during the event, please share it using the Q&A feature instead of the chat feature so that we can compile a list of questions in one place. It is now my honor to introduce Algonquin Elder Barbara Dumont-Hill, who comes from Kitigan-Zibi and works closely with the Centre for Indigenous Initiatives to support Carleton students. I will turn it over to her now to begin our virtual gathering in a good way, and then we will hear from President and Vice Chancellor Benoit-Antoine Bacon.
Kwekakina, Mina Pamadzuan. Hello, everyone. I hope you're living your life in the good way. Nepintin Namanishnabe Kwe, Barbara Dumont Hill, Nadishnakas, Mikanakni Dodam, Kitigan-Zibi Nadunjaba. I am a very proud Anishinaabe woman. My name is Barbara Duwant Hill. I am Turtle Clan, and I was born on the Kitigan-Zibi Indian Reserve. Ogajigat Nipaji Jaje Gaki Kamotaman Mama Wanini. Today I welcome you all on our beautiful, unceded, unsurrendered Algonquin Anishinaabe territory. Today Carleton is launching their Strategic Integrated Plan, which is about service, sharing, and sustainability. To me, that's a little bit like going back to the future. There was a time here on Great Turtle Island that we shared everything, food, clothing, knowledge, from the old to the young, with other nations. And even with those colonizers, when they first arrived, we shared ways to help them adapt and survive. That was the backbone of our culture. Our people knew everything about this land. The rivers, right here in Ottawa, where the three rivers meet, the Ottawa, the Gatineau, and the Rideau rivers meet, was called the Gathering Place. And people came from across Great Turtle Island to share here. And we knew everything about this land. We knew about the medicines that took care of us, the food, the clothing it provided. And we always shared those things with others. That was important for the next 7 generations to know what we know, and for us, for those generations to survive. Our people cared about the land, cared about those next generations. We needed one another. We learned from one another. The land took care of us, and we were taught to take care of the land. Today, Carleton is launching the integrated plan, and it's about the future. It is about sharing knowledge. It is about creating good knowledge and health for the next generations to come. I have gratitude today for all those ancestors who created a good path for us all to follow. And for those who broke those ties, I ask for wisdom and knowledge for them to not to change their hearts and their minds, to maybe have less greed. I have gratitude today for Grandfather Sun, who shares his light with us each day, and our Grandmother Moon, who lights up our night sky and breaks down our seasons for us. I'm grateful for our sacred Mother Earth, who provides everything we need to live our life in the good way. I'm grateful for the sacred air, the breath of Minomanido, and the sacred water, the blood of our Mother Earth that quenches our thirst, brings life into the world, and reminds us that women are sacred. I'm grateful for the winged, the four-legged, the swimmers and the crawlers, for all the trees, the plants, the roots, the medicines that grow here on Great Turtle Island that add beauty to our life each day and have always shared their bounty with us. I'm grateful for all those ancestors who created a good path for us to follow, and those 7 generations of ancestors that we all have a responsibility to leave a good path for. I'm grateful for all those people who live their life in the good way, who have respect for our Mother Earth and all human beings. And I ask Creator to touch each one of you here today, to bless you all with good health, with wisdom for you, for your children, your grandchildren, and your great-grandchildren, that you all understand we all have a responsibility to respect all of this earth and all human beings. I have a lot of gratitude today. Miigwech.
Thank you so much, Barbara. Wisdom, knowledge, gratitude. Miigwech. Hi, everybody. Bonjour tout le monde. It's a really exciting day for Carleton, and we're off to a great start. Welcome to the members of our Board of Governors, Senate, our great SIP co-chairs and the great SIP task force, all our faculty, staff, students, alumni, donors, members of our community. Special thanks and welcome to our MP Catherine McKenna, MPP Joel Harden, His Worship Mayor Jim Watson, and Councillor Sean Menard. I've been thinking back to last September, the event when we launched the SIP process about a year ago. Many of you will remember being here in this very room where I stand talking about what strategic planning would look like over the year and listening to Ken Steele speak about the future of higher education. The world has certainly shifted since that day. And when we think about all the new challenges that we're facing, it can be a bit overwhelming. But I'm more than ever convinced that our model of university here at Carleton, forward-thinking, inclusive, service-oriented, in a city that matters, Ottawa, that model will thrive in the decades ahead. This is our time. Our strategic plan lays out a bold and ambitious vision towards a bright future, and over time, plans like these become reality. I'm really struck that the main themes of our plan, share knowledge, shape the future, serve Ottawa, serve the world, and strive for wellness, strive for sustainability, are all especially relevant in these challenging and disrupted times. I've read a lot of university strategic plans over the past 10 years, and believe me, a lot of them can be quite boring. Every time I reread our plan, I'm excited by the boldness of the plan and the striking imagery of the words. Our plan is deeply anchored in our values, in our past, but it's resolutely forward-looking. It will light our way to being the very best and most impactful Carleton University that we can be for the world of today and tomorrow. One of the secrets to life is to always be at the beginning of something. And today's event marks the end of a process that led us to the SIP, but more importantly, it marks the beginning where the ideas of the plan can really take off and bring the SIP to life. And the SIP is everyone's plan, each of us, we must now all think about how to work together, mobilize it through action plans like Kinamagawin, our accessibility strategy, sustainability strategy, the EDI action plan that's now in development, and of course through well-aligned faculty and unit plans. So I'm excited to see all the great initiatives already underway across our great institution. I want to thank everybody again for coming today. I can't wait to hear from all the great speakers we have lined up, and we will now go to our provost, Jerry Tumberlin, and Cindy Taylor, our AVP Human Resources, who was, of course, one of the SIP Task Force co-chairs. Jerry and Cindy.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, it's my honor to recognize the leadership of the 4 SIP Task Force co-chairs. Lorraine Dyke, who is our Deputy Provost, Bettina Pell-Kuzmarov, who is the Clerk of Carleton University Senate, Patrice Smith, who's the Dean of the Faculty of Graduate and Postdoctoral Affairs, and Cindy Taylor, who is Assistant Vice President, Human Resources. These 4 leaders were asked to co-chair the very important process of renewing Carleton's strategic plan. And they accepted without hesitation and with great enthusiasm. And they've done a terrific job of leading the Carleton community collectively through this process. And they and we have much to be proud of. They made the process look easy, but I know from watching them that it took a lot of hard work and that they dedicated countless hours to this SIP this year. By working together seamlessly, they demonstrated the best of what it means to be a part of the Carleton community. They worked creatively, and they built partnerships across campus in collaboration. And they noted that our community is strongest when we collaborate, and this is reflected in our strategic plan. It's thanks to their leadership that we have such an ambitious, substantial, and visionary new strategic plan to celebrate here today. Please join me in thanking Lorraine, Bettina, Patrice, and Cindy for their fantastic leadership as we celebrate the outcome of all of their hard work.
Last year, I had the honor of serving as one of the 4 SIP Task Force co-chairs. Last summer, President Benoit-Antoine Bacot and Provost Jerry Tumberlin asked us to engage the entire Carleton community on creating a new strategic integrated plan with a bold, ambitious vision. We knew that we would need the help of a broad and representative task force. It is my pleasure today to thank each and every one of the 20 members of the Carleton community who served on the task force. Abdul Wahab Al-Haimi, Greg Ollenbach, Trish Balamingi, Adrian Chan, Michael Charles, Stephen Cook, Ryan Davies, Scott Gonzalez, Emily Grant, Jordan Gray, Jamie Corlick, Catherine Kitts, Pauline Rankin, Philip Mansfield, Patricia McGuire, Benny Michaud, Laura Newton-Miller, Dan Rubenstein, Murray Sang, and Karen Schwartz. On behalf of the Carleton community, thank you for your dedication and commitment you showed over the past year, which played a significant role in the development of the new strategic integrated plan. I also want to thank those who supported the task force throughout the year, first starting with Nancy Arnold for her expertise and for partnering with us to lead the facilitation of the many consultations that we held during the year. Thank you to the entire team in the Office of Quality Initiatives for their leadership on this. Rebecca Duraj for her commitment to coordinating the logistics for all the events and helping to compile the consultation notes, which there were many. Rosemary O'Hearn for her leadership and administrative support and for partnering with the co-chairs on every part of the process to ensure we stayed on track. And to Sandy Slater for playing a key role in helping us coordinate the SIP Speaker Series. And Jane Vanderdries for providing communication support to keep our community updated throughout the process. And a special thank you to Jane and Ryan Davies, who wrote the new strategic integrated plan. It was a pleasure to work with you all this year. Thank you all, and now I'll turn it back to Lorraine.
Thank you very much. It is now my pleasure to formally introduce you to our new strategic plan. As you all know, We spent the fall term last year consulting far and wide with our community. We wanted to know what our community viewed as Carleton's strengths, and we asked them to raise their sights and look ahead to what they imagined Carleton would or could be like in 2030. We had more than 1,000 conversations throughout both phases, which ultimately helped to shape a collective vision. The beautiful and unique location of the Carleton campus came up countless times in these conversations. You will notice that the SIP is inspired heavily by our location. As we contemplated the goals that you shared with us and our beautiful campus, we realized that the unique triangular configuration of our campus represents all that we stand for: the power of higher education and innovation, the value we place on community and collaboration, and the importance of sustainability and wellness. We will now take a virtual tour around this triangle, where we will hear from 2 speakers on each of the 3 axes. These directions are share knowledge, shape the future; serve Ottawa, serve the world; strive for wellness, strive for sustainability. We will move first to the western edge of campus, which follows the path of the iconic Rideau Canal. The canal reflects Carleton's commitment to sharing knowledge that shapes the future. Please welcome 2 of my fellow SIP Task Force co-chairs, Bettina Appel-Kuzmarov, Clerk of Senate, and Patrice Smith, Dean of the Faculty of Graduate and Postdoctoral Affairs, to elaborate on this direction.
Thank you, Lorraine. The canal hints at the ingenuity and innovation that helped establish the city and a waterway that tells the story of the creation, application, and mobilization of knowledge. Carleton can draw on the canal as inspiration to pursue knowledge that can change the world. This direction most closely aligns with our core mission: teaching and learning, research, student experience, and organizational excellence. When we look to the future, we know that ingenuity will be a critical skill. We know, too, that the legacy of the canal is a reminder that we need to seek knowledge with responsibility and reciprocity. We recognize that we must continue to adopt new pedagogical philosophies and technologies, and we will continue to model a culture of organizational excellence across Carleton. When we think of this part of the plan in the context of the current pandemic, we are already reimagining pedagogical practices and adapting to the realities of our time. Earlier this year, Carleton launched the Student as Partners program, which gives students the opportunity to work with instructors to develop courses and create a student-centered learning environment. This program has grown in popularity, and this past summer, more than 100 courses were redesigned in all 5 faculties, making it the largest program of its kind in Canada. This is just one example of how Carleton is mobilizing share knowledge, shape the future. There are several plans across the university that will further bring this part of the SIP to life. I'll now turn it over to Patrice.
Thank you, Bettina. Share knowledge, shape the future is also about mobilizing knowledge through research. This past year, Carleton received $81.7 million in sponsored external research funding, which was a compound interest of more than 50% over 2 years, the largest increase of any comprehensive or medical university in Canada. Our vision is to further share meaningful knowledge that responds to societal needs and inspires future discovery. Just this month, 5 Carleton researchers received a combined $1.25 million in support from the New Frontiers in Research Fund to support high-risk, high-reward research in the areas of intelligent robotics, digital integration in the architecture, engineering, and construction industries, air quality and climate change policy, evolutionary transitions in amphibians, as well as in Parkinson's disease. The week before, the First Nation of Nacho-Nayakidan and Carleton signed a memorandum of understanding to collaborate on multidisciplinary research projects centered around Indigenous and Northern studies, community and human development, post-secondary education, research, and access for learners. Building on these strengths, Carleton will continue to increase our capacity to create, apply, mobilize, and shape a better future for the world. We will now continue our journey along the triangle to the Bronson entrance of our campus. This axis creates our connection to the community. to this city's cultural heart, and ultimately to the world. This side of the triangle is summarized by Serve Ottawa, Serve the World. We will now hear from Pauline Rankin, Dean of the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, and Karen Schwartz, Associate Vice President, Research and International, who both served on the SIP task force. But first, we will go live to downtown Ottawa at the beautiful Carleton Dominion Chalmers Centre, where Pauline is now waiting.
Thank you, Patrice. Carleton's community connections are extensive and enduring. Carleton's roots as a non-denominational college established by and for the citizens of Ottawa make it unique among Canadian universities. At the height of the Second World War, the university was founded by a group of volunteers to educate and offer a brighter future for returning veterans and others who had moved to Canada's capital as part of the war effort. Since those earliest days, Carleton has cultivated deep community connections, and a profound sense of community dedication drives our core mission. Those same connections inspire and guide our commitment and responsibility to our city and our society. The historic Carleton Dominion Chalmers Centre, in which I stand, is a powerful representation of how embedded and interconnected Carleton is with its local community. Here we are working together to create a welcoming, professional, and safe environment through programming that is multi-generational, diverse, and inclusive. Carleton will continue to build our commitment and expand our reach further as we seek to serve our communities and forge partnerships with purpose. I'll now turn it over to Karen.
Thank you, Pauline. Carleton's roots are community-focused, and now, more than 75 years after its founding, Carleton has evolved into a research-intensive educational institution whose reach and impact goes far beyond the city limits. We have a comprehensive approach to global outreach. We attract students, faculty, and researchers from every continent who discover, generate, and share transformative knowledge which incorporates a global perspective. We partner with universities, governments, industries, and organizations in hundreds of countries around the world to make Carleton a global hub of intellectual engagement. We will soon launch our international strategic plan, which will guide and galvanize our role as a global institution in a G20 capital, and expand our interactions with government officials, dignitaries, and the diplomatic community. Our third stop in our journey around our beautiful campus brings us to the south edge of our campus, where we travel along the Rideau River. The river inspired us to consider Carleton's connection to the natural world, our focus on wellness and sustainability. Wellness is the sustainability of individuals, and sustainability is the wellness of our planet. Both are under pressure, but by watching the river, we can learn about momentum and resilience. We've encapsulated this direction with the phrases, strive for wellness, strive for sustainability. I am pleased to introduce Michael Charles, Assistant Vice President and University Advisor, Equity and Inclusive Communities, and Kahente Horn-Miller, Vice President, Indigenous Initiatives, who will speak about this side of the triangle.
Thank you, Karen. Carleton chooses a holistic campus-wide approach to personal wellness and health for students, faculty, staff, and the community. As an institution, Carleton recognizes the diversity of its communities and the perspectives they engage. Equity, diversity, and inclusion, or EDI, have been identified by Carleton's Board of Governors, federal tri-agency research funders, faculty, staff, students, public and private sector employers, and other members of the external community as critical to the future success of the university. While Carleton has taken steps to lay the foundation for progress, much work to advance anti-racism and EDI still needs to be done. As a large institution, the university is an extension of society and is not insulated from its challenges. Emerging directly from the work of the SIP, therefore, the Equity and Inclusive Communities Advisory Group was formed to develop an institutional strategic vision for EDI at Carleton and propose an operational framework of essential actions. We are in the midst of finalizing the EDI action plan and are looking to our community for their feedback on the draft. We've had many meaningful conversations so far and look forward to another round of productive dialogue at our next town hall on October the 14th, or online at carleton.ca/EDI-plan. On a related note, Carleton has led the accessibility conversation across Canada's higher education sector for many years and is committed to being the most accessible campus in Canada. Leveraging the new student mental health framework, healthy workplace strategic plan, coordinated accessibility strategy, and the Canadian Accessibility Network, Carleton will continue advancing wellness and accessibility across research, training, employment, policy, and community engagement. A key part of this side of the triangle is strive for wellness. This work is never finished, but is something to which we must continually dedicate our efforts and resources. We are building upon strength. On many of these fronts, we will continue to strive for wellness. I now turn it over to Gahande.
Gahante Yujats, Akskare Watke, Ni I Ganyaka Haga. Neoenjodu, what Kunuaradum, Danozoaguego. Thank you, Michael. Last year, I served as one of the 3 co-chairs on the Carleton University Strategic Indigenous Initiatives Committee. This committee was formed to revitalize Carleton's Indigenous strategy and re-energize relationships with Indigenous communities in Algonquin territory and across the country. More than 600 Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples from within the university and the broader Indigenous community participated in more than 40 consultations. This process yielded extensive qualitative data, which formed the basis of the Kinamagawin, Carleton's revitalized Indigenous strategy. Kinamagawin means learning together, and that is what we must do as we seek to move forward on conciliation from a place of institutional humility and renewed commitment. This report outlines 41 Carleton-specific calls to action that collectively will make Carleton a more welcoming space for current and future Indigenous students and faculty members. Just like in wellness, the work of sustainability is never fully complete, but is something we must earnestly strive towards. Carleton has a strong commitment to embedding continuous environmental and sustainable improvements into our operations. In fact, last month, Carleton received the Emerging Excellence Award from Ottawa's Sustainable Business Network, Carbon 613, for Carleton's carbon-reducing program, which has accomplished a 35% reduction in carbon emissions since 2005. Its zero-waste programs, and the high level of student engagement in its overall sustainability efforts. Carleton's sustainability plan will be launched later this fall, which will draw the momentum needed for this area as we strive for sustainability. I will now turn it back to Lorraine.
I would like to thank all of our speakers for your inspiring words. And I would also like to thank those participants who have submitted questions. If you have not already done so, please add your question using the Q&A feature now. We'll try to answer as many questions as we have in the remaining time. So Benoit, first off, what is the biggest change in direction for this plan?
Thanks, Lorraine, and thanks to the people who submitted questions. That's a great place to start, actually. I think plans like this must be evolution and not revolution in this exact sense that they must be based in an institution's history, the true history, our values, our strengths, and I think our plan certainly does this. But as we anchor ourselves in our past, we must also realize that the world is changing and that we must continue to adapt and change with it. I'd say that a lot of plans of this type focus on the traditional university mission, teaching, research, and the student experience. So in fact, a lot of plans restate the mission, and that's okay. We do that too, at least that's part of the plan, and it goes without saying that we're going to continue to enhance the quality and impact of our research, teaching, and the student experience. But I think our plan goes further than this, and we can be proud of that. If you state serve Ottawa, serve the world, on the one hand, you're embracing our history as a community-based organization for the people, by the people here in the community, but you're also realizing that as a large and impactful institution, we need to internationalize, and you heard Karen speak about an explicit plan about this. Wellness and sustainability, I think, are two themes where we're leaders already and where we can really differentiate ourselves and make our mark. So that's why I think it's important to pick some lanes and say these are the things that we're great at and that we're going to define ourselves with, and I think our plan does this very powerfully.
Great, thank you, Benoit. So how do you implement a plan like this?
Do I get to ask you questions too, Lorraine?
Sadly, no.
How do you implement a plan like this? Well, a plan doesn't have any value if it stays on the shelf. It needs to be embraced by the community, and it needs to be implemented through action. And I think the first step is what we're doing today, is making people aware of the plan, is reminding people that we have a plan, is getting people used to reflecting on the language of the plan and what it means. So throughout the fall and the year, we'll be making sure that the plan is highly visible. Then in terms of implementation, I think that's what you're really asking. We need to dig deeper in what the aspirational language of the plan really means. That is, what does it really mean to strive for sustainability? There's a full plan titled Strive for Sustainability that will come out within a month or two. It's almost ready to go. You heard about Kinamagawin. You heard about Michael's leadership on the EDI action plan for our university. So there's a series of horizontal plans that will allow us to take strategic action over time. And I think just as importantly, our faculties, our units, our departments need to reflect at the unit level and think, what does that mean for us? How can we implement those ideas in everything that we do and align with the broader university? And I saw a draft of the Sprott plan recently, which is brilliant, and really align with the direction that the university is going. I know Student Services is about to launch a process. So's advancement, I was speaking to Pauline, who, by the way, was really in the church. That looked like CGI, but she was really in the church. And she's engaging fast into a number of working groups to look at the ideas of the plan. So that's our work. Each and every one of us need to embrace those ideas and start to think about how to implement them.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you. We have a question that I'm sure many people have in mind, and that is, how will the COVID pandemic factor into our future planning?
Well, it's a good question, and I've been trying to balance that in my messages to the community. I think the secret for this year will be to do both of those things at the same time. We need to be responsive in real time to the COVID pandemic. What does that mean for us in the day-to-day? How do we make sure that our academic mission is sustained, that our operations are able to continue through the pandemic, keep everyone safe, keep everything going in a more short-term way. But we can't just do this, and that's why we decided to develop, approve, and now celebrate the plan as we continue through this ongoing public health crisis. We need to keep our eyes high, far into the future. Maybe we'll even learn some useful lessons through the pandemic that we can use, and think, how can we adapt today? How can we change today so that in 5, 10 years, we continue to be successful in the future? So we've already learned a lot. I'm thinking about pedagogy. I'm thinking about some of our operations, some student services that I've learned over 6 months what would have taken years to learn. And I think these will create opportunities in the future to implement some of the ideas of the plan.
Great. We have a couple of related questions. As an employee, how can I take action on the plan in my work? And will there be ways to contribute within and outside of my job?
That's a great question. Do we know who's asking the question? I know they're coming in on the chat, but the person who asked the question, Kathy. Oh, thanks, Jane. Kathy, good to see you. Thanks for the question. That's a brilliant question. I really appreciate that, Kathy Malcolm Edwards. I think that's at the core of what we're trying to do today. I think it's everyone's plan. So everybody at Carleton is invited to download the plan, and printed copies will come shortly. Read the plan, reflect on the plan, and think, wow, what does that mean for me as an individual, for the unit that I work in, for the university as a whole? How can I engage my colleagues in those discussions? How can I embody in the way I interact with the students, the ideas of the plan? How can I propose or contribute to initiatives that are supported by the plan? Imagine if everyone does that. If everybody says, wellness, I wonder what that means. Let's look at the plan. Oh, it means equity, diversity, and inclusion. It means Indigenous initiatives. It means mental health. How can I contribute as an individual to bring those ideas to life? There'll be a transformative change across the university. In fact, it's not so much the plan that transforms a university, it's the degree to which people embrace it.
So we have a question here, Benoit, about your personal story through the SIP journey, if you're willing to share it, and what you think were some of the biggest challenges and what you are most proud of.
God, I didn't expect that. Thanks for the question. For those who don't know, in this room about 18 months ago, I spoke a little bit about my own journey of mental health struggles and substance use. I thought it was important for me to come into a position like mine from a place of honesty. And there's a funny thing about telling the truth. It sets you free, and then it sets people free to tell their own truths, and it opens a space where everyone can be honest. It breaks the stigma around mental health issues and around substance use, and breaking the stigma is the first step towards people getting the help that they need and deserve. And that's such a big part of my life when we decided to integrate wellness front and center in the plan. I couldn't be more proud, because I think we're all on a journey of healing to different degrees, and what will make the biggest difference in our world is individual people healing and helping others to heal, and that will spread through communities and through society in a way that cannot be stopped. And wellness and sustainability, to me, go together in this exact way, that as individuals are on a journey of healing through wellness, well, that's the sustainability of the individual. And when we speak of the sustainability of the planet, we speak about its own healing, its own wellness. So it's the same ideas applied on different scales. And I think what we learn on the one hand, we can apply to the other, and vice versa.
Great, thank you very much. Maybe you could speak to how unit activities related to the overall SIP will be aligned towards the same goal, and how people will know about those activities.
Yeah, well, that's a great question about alignment and about timing. So we're a big place, right? There's 40,000 people at Carleton. I don't count the units, but there's over 100 individual units or groups of people that can say, well, we're a unit. I'm not a particularly command and control person to say, now go and do your own plans. I think units have their own history and their own arc, and will arrive to devising their plans according to those timelines. For example, Sprott have a plan ready to go. I'm thinking of the Faculty of Public Affairs, who are welcoming a new dean tomorrow. And I expect that the dean and the leadership team will want to take a little bit of time to speak to people and to get the lay of the land before launching into a process. There's also not just one way to do these processes. We thought at the university level it was important to have a document that people could refer to state these things very explicitly, and some units are following that model. But Pauline, I think, has a great model as well. She says, rather than spending another number of months in planning, let's get working groups together and let's think immediately about concrete actions that we can implement around the main themes of the SIP, but also around Kinamagawin or the EDI action plan, which I think is a brilliant model. So I don't think we all need to do this at the same time or in the same way. The important thing is that we all do this.
Okay, thank you. We have a really interesting question here from Keppel Baharath, who's asking, what can retired personnel do to drive sustainability in the SIP?
Oh, that's great, and thanks for attending our event and your continued engagement with Carleton. I think there's a number of ways, as you know, in which you can remain engaged with the university. I'm not sure to what degree you remain involved in the activities of your former unit or department. Some people continue research, continue the supervision of students, and there's opportunities to engage there. There's various opportunities of volunteerism, alumni engagement. We're always looking for input and advice from outside constituencies as we continue to develop the way we tell our story. And in fact, that might be a chance for me to say that soon we'll be leveraging the language of the SIP towards what I think of as a reputational enhancement, and the external community in Ottawa and nationally will have a big role to play in that. So I think if you stay in touch, if you stay in contact and follow our website and the messaging that we share with our community, you'll see tons of occasions and opportunities to engage.
Great. And how do you ensure coordination between the SIP and other plans like the Coordinated Accessibility Strategy, the EDI Action Plan, and the Kinamagawan Indigenous Strategy? Yeah, that's a good question. Coordination, I think, starts in the objectives, in the language. So the SIP itself takes a higher level inspirational approach, and as these plans that are more action-oriented are developed, it's important that we ensure that the objectives laid out at the higher level be represented in the actions. But that's not difficult. That's not difficult to do, because I think as a community, our shared values, our shared history, our shared objectives are already incredibly well aligned. Wasn't that striking to you, Lorraine? Like as we developed that process, nobody told us a vision or a version of Carleton in the present that was completely different from what other people, like people were extremely well aligned across the themes of the SIP. So what I would say to that is, as we implement the various strategies and action plan, the key is tracking and measuring success. It's not enough to lay down plans or to have ideas. We must do the things that we said we're going to do, and we have to find a way to demonstrate that, yes, in fact, we have done those things. We have brought about positive long-term change. Great. We have a question about how does Carleton envision creating new sources of revenue in the future under its sustainability and wellness goal?
New sources of revenue, that sounds good to me. Anyone who has ideas about that, feel free to share. I think we all need to think creatively in a context where governments will be tighter than they've been in the past about how else we can support our academic mission, and how else we could fund ourselves in a way that make us better, in the way that enhances those initiatives. So a simple example is we reduced our greenhouse gas emissions by 35% over 10 years. That means that somewhere we burned less fuel, and that has an economic impact on the university for sure. It's the same thing around wellness. If we're able to create a culture of wellness, down the line, there will be, I don't want to quantify it in dollars, but there will certainly be savings across the universities in terms of time, in terms of pain especially, and we'll be able to use that time towards enhancing our academic mission. So I think thinking creatively is what I will retain from this question, and please send me your ideas if you have good ones.
Great. So I think we have time for just one more question, and I think this is a great way to wrap up the discussion today, and that is, what do you see as the main challenges going forward?
Challenges? Are there challenges? Well, let's count a few of them. We're in the middle of a worldwide pandemic, and we're not out of the woods yet. We're entering a second wave, and we'll be in this for at least the end of this academic year. After that, we will see. There'll be societal consequences to the pandemic. We've talked about mental health already, but there's also economic impacts, both at the level of the individual, and I'm well aware of people struggling across our beautiful city and across the country and the world. Governments will be struggling too, and we do depend, at least to some degree, on the provincial and federal governments for funding, so it might be tougher times for them. So thank you to the person who mentioned the alternative source of revenues. That is the kind of thing that we need to think about for sure. I'm not sure if this is a challenge or an opportunity. Let me end this. Let me end there. I'm starting my third year here at Carleton, and over those 3 years, I've been discovering the power and beauty of everything that's happening on this campus. Starting by the beauty of the campus itself, the strength and impact of the research across all faculties, the quality of the pedagogy, the care for the student experience that people shouldn't take for granted. This is a place that cares deeply about the student experience, the fact that we're the second most sustainable university in the country, even the fact that there's 31,000 students at Carleton. People don't know it. So as I accumulate that knowledge, I realize that there's a bit of a reputational gap between where we are today and where we're perceived to be. People don't realize how big, how good, how impactful, how sustainable, how inclusive, etc. Carleton is. So it's a challenge. Because the world of communication is so cluttered, everybody wants to tell their story and there's a lot of noise. So it's a challenge to increase your visibility, but what an opportunity for Carleton with our great strategic plan now completed to tell our story more sharply and more loudly and make a lot more people aware of all the great things that we do and enhance our reputation. And there's a funny virtuous circle about this, that as you get better, your reputation increases. But as your reputation increases, it also helps you to get better. So I think this is our time. The next 5 to 10 years will be incredibly exciting. And challenges or not, Carleton will thrive in the near and more distant future. I'll stop there.
Great. Thank you very much, Benoit. I think that's a great note to end on, because that's certainly a theme we heard throughout the consultations as well, that we want to tell our story. So thank you everyone for engaging in this portion of the event. It's fantastic to hear from so many of you from across the university, and I will now invite Benoit to close the event.
Well, thanks a lot, Lorraine. What a great event. We'll close with a short video of testimonials from voices across the university, and we also have a special message from our MP, Catherine McKenna. But before I play the video, I do want to sincerely thank everyone who helped us to put today's virtual event together. It was surprisingly complex. Let me put it this way. So I want to start with all the inspiring speakers that we heard today, some of whom came here in person on campus. The great team from the Department of University Advancement, in particular Jennifer Conley, Ryan Davies, Rose Crossett, and Laura McCaffrey. From the Provost Office, Jane Van Dendries, who's here with us monitoring the console. The great people from Conference Services, Instructional Media Services, the Department of University Communications. Thank you, thank you. And Lorraine, to you, a big thank you, our MC, but especially for your leadership throughout the whole SIP process. We couldn't have done it without you. And listen, everybody, I really appreciate you joining us today. Please enjoy our short closing video. You'll recognize a lot of people. While the video is playing, we'll be sending you an email that will include your own digital copy of the beautifully designed strategic integrated plan. I think it looks beautiful. I hope you think so too. We'll have print copies made available soon. Merci beaucoup. Miigwech. Thanks again for being with us today, and thank you as always for everything you do for Carleton. Thank you.
Hello, Carleton. Thank you for having me here today. My name is Yaprak Baltajolu, and I'm the proud chancellor of this excellent institution. I'm also a grateful alumna. Today, we are launching our strategic plan. Voices from every corner of Carleton were heard and valued as the strategy was created. And as an institution, we should be incredibly proud of this plan and its aspirations to leverage the power of higher education towards a force for good. Among other principles, the new strategic plan is rooted in the value of community, inclusivity, and diversity. These are core for a positive experience for our students, our faculty, and our staff. So congratulations, Ravens. The new strategic integrated plan is the wind at your back, and I can't wait to see the heights that you will soar to next.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dan Fortin. I have the privilege of chairing Carleton's Board of Governors. First of all, on behalf of all the governors, and as an alumnus myself of over 40 years, I want to congratulate Benoit and the entire team for creating this wonderful strategic integrated plan. Simply put, it's inspiring. It presents an amazing vision for the future of Carleton. It builds on our existing strengths. It's courageous. It's ambitious. It provides us direction and guidance for going forward. Yet it honors our roots, our beginnings of a community that came together for the benefit of others, for the greater good of Ottawa, for Canada, and ultimately the world. As a board, we've had the opportunity to observe and even participate in this process, including multiple formal board reviews. By seeking out broad perspectives, by listening to feedback from so many different constituents, I believe the outcome is an exciting vision of the future that we can all find ourselves in. I would encourage us all to begin to think of how we adopt it as our collective vision, how we can contribute to its realization over the years to come. And again, congratulations, team. This is very exciting.
Hi, my name is Adrian Chan. I'm a professor in the Department of Systems and Computer Engineering. I'm really excited about Carleton University's new strategic integrated plan. Its focus on equity, diversity, inclusion, and collaboration I think is really important. It brings the unique perspectives of our undergraduate, graduate students, as well as our faculty and staff and external collaborators. To solve the problems of today's society really requires this type of collaboration and bringing the unique perspectives and skills that we all have. I am proud to be part of this community and look forward to our future journey.
Hello, my name is Abdullah Al-Haimi. I am a fifth-year student studying Sustainable and Renewable Energy Engineering at Carleton University. As a student, it's essential to be involved in shaping the future of Carleton. I was lucky to represent students' perspective at the Strategic Integrated Plan. One of the most important key factors for any institute to success is a clear vision. At SIP, we discussed and developed our visions for Carleton future, and we took into considerations the challenges the students face. It's very assuring for students to have a clear vision for the future. Well, not only students, but also the Ottawa community, the environment, and the world.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Andre, and I'm in my fourth year of the Applied Linguistics and Discourse Studies program with a minor in Disability Studies. Over the past 2 years, I've had the privilege of working with the READ team as one of their students. And having the experience of watching the READ team in action as they deal with some of the big issues facing persons with disabilities. These things touch on the pathways that the Strategic Integrated Plan have laid out, including research and development, increasing employability outcomes, and knowledge mobilization. And that's been really cool to see. But all of these things have been done with the lens of disability in mind. I'm so proud to be part of their team, and I'm proud to be part of the greater Carleton community. Thank you.
My name is Emily Grant. I am a recent graduate of the Master of Political Management program here at Carleton. I thought it was very important to join the SIP task force this past year and have a part in the process because I knew that it was very critical to have a voice for graduate students sitting around the table and to ensure that student success and student issues were top of mind throughout the entire process. I think some of the best parts of the SIP are its focus on building a more sustainable campus, having more collaboration and building a more respectful environment between faculty, students, and staff, and ensuring that the Carleton community is as great as it can be, and that extends into the rest of our friends in the Ottawa area as well.
Hi Carleton, c'est dommage que je ne peux pas vous joindre en personne. I want to just congratulate you on Carleton's new strategic integrated plan. Carleton has always been leading the way in preparing students for an ever-changing future, especially focused on research. This is another innovative way of how Carleton is an incredible research and academic institution in the nation's capital. Huge congratulations. Wishing you all the best.